welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Saturday edition. Over at McShane's in Michigan and Trumbull, we haven't been there in a long while. Jim Nardone and Eric Brown. How y'all doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
And somewhere in America, attorney Vanessa Moss. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning to all of you Detroit Black and White co-host viewers. Listen, if you are watching this show, the hottest show on this side of the United States, the hottest show on YouTube, the most independent podcast there ever was, we want you to do something. We want you to hit that like button. Yeah, we want you to subscribe, but more than that, we want you to hit that like button. We have a lot of people who watch the show, but they don't even take the time to hit that like button. We want you to hit that like button because we're trying to do something different here at Detroit Black and White. We want to give a shout out to all the co-hosts. We'll be saying your name in a few minutes, but thank you so much for joining us on Detroit Black and White.
Well, check your bank account for the PR. I'm sending you some, what is that, Bitcoins or whatever. Okay. Allan Lengel, co-founder of Deadline Detroit.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Ren Wordsworth Smith, Derek Henry, and Cynthia Burnett, and the Weller Boys. Good morning. Just a few of the people that's joining us.
I retired.
Listen, before we came on the air, I was talking about Republican State Rep Brian Postumus, who said he's going to start a campaign to get a statewide petition on the ballot that you got to prove that you're a citizen of this United States of America in order to vote. Alan, I'll go to you first. Who is going to work? Who's going to benefit and who is going to hurt?
I think traditionally it's always thought that in the Black community it's gonna challenge more people who are just don't have their birth certificate. Yeah, either have to have a birth certificate or a passport. It's a pain in the ass to get that kind of stuff, and some people just aren't going to bother to do it. It's just too much of a challenge. So I think it seems to always, when we talk about voter ID, all that kind of stuff, it seems to go against the Democrats. It seems like the Republicans are always trying to find a way to get less Democrats to vote. But that's I don't know. You may have different.
Vanessa, who's it gonna hurt?
You know what? I don't think it's going to hurt the Democratic Party, and I don't think it's going to help the Republican Party. My question is, what really is your end goal, sir? What are you trying to do?
Suppress the vote.
Yeah, I know he's trying to suppress the vote, but ultimately, where are you trying to go in terms of the Republican Party? What rung of the ladder are you trying to reach? Because I don't believe that it's really going to go anywhere. He's going to get a whole lot of pushback.
Okay, Jim, can this win statewide?
I don't think so. The bigger question is who's pushing it? Where's it coming from? And I'm not sure, but it sure looks like a Rick Snyder kind of process to me. So I don't know. I think Mike Rogers, who needs to wrestle control. Somebody needs to wrestle control of that party, and it can't be Rick Snyder and his cronies. It needs to be somebody fresh. And if Mike Rogers doesn't step up, he's going to lose every opportunity he gets to be elected.
You and Mike Rogers need to go somewhere and go right back to D.C. or Florida, where he fucking lived for the last 20 years. Eric, who's going to benefit and who's going to hurt?
I mean, it's a waste of time, but at the end of the day, when we talk about suppressing the vote, it's not going to suppress the Black vote. Black people not voting. So I think it's just a waste of time, but be that as it may, you will have both Blacks, whites, Democrats, and Republicans signing that petition.
Well,
because of the pulse of the country, people just feel the way they do about immigrants, and they feel that only legitimate people should be voting, because both sides of the aisle now are complaining about legitimate voters. The Democrats are complaining, the Republicans are complaining. And at the end of the day, again, that's why I have no respect for a two-party system. Both of them are a joke. They waste a lot of time. People get caught up in conversations that are unnecessary. And I just wish that people would finally say enough is enough and come up with a third party and do something else.
Well, a third party has proven in this country that it don't work. But I look
It don't
at
work because the people don't work.
Well, so it don't work. I look at the citizenship question is Latinos in this state who are citizens who are born here and say they go to vote and they don't have a birth certificate. Who's carrying a birth certificate in their wallet or in their purse? You lose it, then you're on the verge of having identity theft. The Arab community who embrace Donald Trump and all whatever, born here, citizens by right. Some of them are going to get turned away at the ballot box by overzealous campaign workers. You got some senior citizens going to vote. How many senior citizens that's 70 or above carrying a birth certificate?
Right.
And can you just go and pick up a birth? You wasn't born in Detroit, so you can't get your birth certificate out of Detroit. You got to go somewhere where you was born at, Allan.
You brought up a good point about the particularly elderly citizens may not be as computer literate, may not have somebody to get. I had to get a birth certificate in 2016. I was doing work for ABC News, and Disney. They required that I get a birth certificate to show that I was a citizen, and it was a pain in the ass. And so a lot of people, particularly elderly people, may not be computer illiterate, may not have somebody to get it. They're going to say, "Screw it, I don't have, I don't know how to do that." I mean, you never see the Democrats creating more impediments. I mean, the Republicans try to limit the days you can vote, particularly in big cities where there can be long lines. It helps to have multiple days. And we've seen in other states where Republicans have tried to limit the number of poll places, limit the number of days. It's never the Democrats who do that.
Well, the Republicans always have an agenda. My mother was born in Kershaw County, South Carolina, in a house back in 1928. Now, it wasn't no birth certificate. They had it on file, I guess, in South Carolina. But listen, she probably had to jump through the hoops to get a birth certificate if she was still living to go vote. So this is a dangerous situation. I don't ignore it. And this pessimist, Jim, might be an idiot. As you said before the show went on, he was the white sheep of the family. But you know what? They got an agenda. And one thing I say about the Republicans, they have a game plan to blow everything up. And we see it. Democrats have the control of the House, the Senate. They don't do a damn thing with it. We looked at what they did in Lansing. Joe Tate couldn't even, at the end of the day, lame duck is where you can pass a ham sandwich as the sandwich of the state of Michigan, and he couldn't do that. I see why he dropped out, because I read the tea leaves. Tea leaves say, Joe Tate, you dead on arrival. So,
but Adolph, to Allan's point, Allan, you give the Democrats too much credit. First and foremost, when you look at the amount of black people that just voted Republican, trust me, the Democrats will have no problem fucking suppressing votes either. So look at Detroit, the amount of people that voted in Detroit. Then you only had 47% that came out to vote in Detroit. 4 years ago, only 18% voted for a damn mayor. So it's no need to suppress votes because people are not voting anyway.
Well, you know what? You got to give them something to vote. Back in 1980, Detroit was on the verge of bankruptcy, and the city had to get approval in Lansing to put a special tax increase on the ballot, and Coleman Young was able to do it. And the Vote Yes campaign, you know how many people voted in that election? It had to be over 70%. I think that was the biggest turnout in I don't know how long. You know, if you got a real issue, if a lot is at stake, I think people will go out. But if people say, you know what, my vote don't count. I went there, they make me sign a provisional ballot. It might not count. It might not this. It can be 90 degrees outside and you live right across from a voting precinct. They don't even go vote. Go ahead, Allan.
Regardless, I mean, Eric talks about, look, the majority of Black voters, particularly like in the city of Detroit, are still Democrats. They voted Democratic. Maybe there was a creep of more than last time for Trump, but it's still lopsided toward the Democrats. So it's not, the Democrats haven't, the Blacks, as a whole, as a group, have not abandoned the Democratic Party. We'll see.
Maybe they should. Maybe
but they haven't.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Listen, I remember when Mandela ran for president of South Africa, and the powerful pictures of people standing in line in wheelchairs, on crutches. It was powerful. And here we are. You can get some powerful pictures going back to the civil rights movement in the 50s, where Black folks, especially elderly Black folks, was beaten at the polls. They was thrown in jail for trying to register. And yet, Eric, you are absolutely right. We got a whole ton of people, especially young people, that say, I'm not voting.
And you know what? To your point, Adolph and Eric, I can say myself, I have family members who did not participate in the voting process, which really saddens me, As active as I am, as active as my father was, as important as it was to our grandparents, who we grew up with, it is just very, very sad. But I also understand that they feel like, listen, it doesn't make a difference. Look where we are. We participated in the past, and it still didn't get us ahead. But you have to. I just believe this. I think it is incumbent upon us. If you give up hope and you give up, then you're never going to get ahead. So, life is full of peaks and valleys, and sometimes it has to get real, real bad before it gets better. I also think that, you know what? You have to be true to yourself. You don't have to be true to a party. Vote your conscience. Do your independent work. And don't be wedded to the person that you have confidence in. Because guess what? When you talk about this two-party system, in this two-party system, you have Democrats that are very conservative. You have Democrats that are very liberal. And you have Democrats that's in the middle. And you have the same. You have some moderate Republicans. You have some Republicans that's extremely.
Where are the moderate Republicans? Where are they? They don't seem like they like a dinosaur. They are disappeared. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and continue this conversation, Detroit in black and white.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Hey, Vanessa?
Yes.
Can you respond? I'm sorry, Adolph, but can Vanessa respond to some of our viewers?
Yeah, go ahead, Vanessa. Oh, she's off. Let's Marlon Hope. If you can plan to be prepared. DAE. That's why Trump is referring to the United States as the United States of sovereignty.
Listen, we also, I don't know if you guys talked about, you have Bridget Huff that's watching. Shout out, thank you. We have Rhonda Williams. We have Deborah Harris. We have Jill Sheridan. Every single time we are on in the last few weeks, we have more people joining. We want you to join, but we also want you to hit that like button. Hit that like button, hit that like button.
Same day, Jay.
Jim, I got a question. How is the voting downriver, say in Trenton? Is the same problem, but the turnouts, or is it a little bit better than what they do in Detroit percentage?
I would say in the last election it was somewhere in the high 60s in the city of Trenton for the presidential election. I think 66, 67%. So
well, maybe we need to go and make voting a weekend thing where people, most people are not working, and or 3 days or 4 days in a row. You gotta do something different, because what we doing here in Detroit is some waste of time.
You know what? Terry McCrimmon makes a good point. He says when the people of Detroit, Benton Harbor, Flint, and other cities voted against the emergency manager through the democratic process, and then the legislature said, we don't care about your votes. We put an emergency manager in to run your local government anyway. That's when people notice that their votes means absolutely nothing. I'm just saying. Terry makes a very good point.
They're right, because the voters in Michigan voted not to have a right to work state.
Right.
And Rick Snyder and legislators voted anyway to make it law.
So, well, that's interesting, because we're talking about this, and someone made a comment about the president of the United States, called it the United States sovereignty or whatever. Are we talking about some of the people, even here in Michigan, doing the exact same thing?
Yeah. Well,
acting as if it's a dictatorship, when in fact it's supposed to be a democracy. Isn't that interesting?
Well, you go back to Pole Town, where the folks in Pole Town, a community of 4,000 or 5,000 families, churches, hospitals, schools. General Motors said, we'll build a new Cadillac plant because we want to build a tech center. And the folks said, no, we got a community that works. And yet the Coleman Young and General Motors went up to Lansing. Now they can't do it. And those representatives in the House and in the Senate voted to allow a corporation to kick out all the families, sell the church property, close the schools, and guess what we got out of that? We got one plant, one, not the tech center that they said they was going to have. You ever go over there, Allan, and see what's over in Pole Town?
I was there a few years ago when they were on strike. I tried, but I haven't been inside full time.
Yeah, I'm not talking about inside. I'm talking about around the. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's desolate. You have the Polish Yacht Club out near that way.
Yeah, well, the Polish Yacht Club is in the midst of, I don't know how it survives, because people like the Polish Yacht Club, surrounded by abandoned houses, buildings, and everything else.
Right. No, there's nothing. It's desolate. I mean, it's like in the open field. It's like back in you might think the 50s, or maybe there's farmland or something. I mean, there's so much empty land in that area.
Can I ask a question? I don't want to. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I know you're a little rusty, Adolph, but is anybody outraged today? Because I know I'm outraged, and I couldn't sleep last night because I'm outraged. Does anybody have any of our colleagues out there, Day? Anybody, Jay? You guys have outrages today? It is Saturday, right?
Oh yeah, well, you're absolutely right. That's my fault when I came in and start talking. Since you said, what's your outrage of the day, Jim?
So up in Clinton Township, Macomb County, this week, there was an armed robbery. An alleged armed robbery at a donut shop, Golden Donuts, I guess. And this isn't about the young man. I guess his name's Khalid, who took the life of the alleged armed robber. This is about society. All right, I give the guy. He has the right to self-defense in this country, but people are celebrating the death of a 30-something young man, and this is outrageous. When is it that the loss of a life is not important in our society? We're picking sides, and people are talking online about, I'm going to go buy 24 donuts, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Congratulations. There's no congratulations to be had. A young man lost his life, and he probably shouldn't have been there. Word is out that maybe he was ill, or maybe he did it intentionally. But we have to change the society. We can't be celebrating the death of a young man.
But we do. Eric, your outrage of the week.
My outrage is I don't watch MSNBC. I just happened to see a clip about them bitching and moaning with regards to the pardon czar that was named, Allen Johnson. And where were they when Joe Biden came up with Juneteenth as a celebration and their outrage about that? Where were they when Joe Biden said to Black America, you're not Black if you don't vote for me? And it's just so unfortunate people see these outlets as their only source of information, and that's what they roll with. And at the end of the day, who are they to dictate to Black America how they should be upset or pleased with a decision that was made that probably will not even impact a lot of people? But at the end of the day, Allen Johnson should not have served the amount of time that she served. She got pardoned. He feels that she is a good person to have as a face of pardons in America. And for them to just poo-poo it because it was him that made the decision, they would not have done the same thing had it been the old guy that just left office. And that's part of the problem with this Democratic Republican crap. You know, people love these parties more than the parties love themselves. It's like being in an abusive relationship. They just keep going back saying it'll get better. But at the same time, they still getting slapped the fuck around.
Okay, Vanessa, your outrage.
Well, you know what? I'm going to continue on the story that we talked about the other day, and that is the children that was left in the home for 5 years. And read parts of the story today and find out, you know, the mom busy doing her thing. She even had a podcast, but a neighbor said that he heard the kids yell out sometimes out the window. He lived 2 doors down. And her children's father, as well as the grandfather, had been trying to see the kids, but she wouldn't let him. The dad was actually fighting for custody. And this is where it really bothers me. I represent a lot of men, in particularly in family court. I will say things have changed, but not enough. Women are always given the benefit of the doubt. I feel like if a man steps up and say, listen, I want to see my kids, I want to have a relationship with my kids, he should be able to do that without any flack. As long as, you know, he's safe, he's not putting them in danger, he should be able to do that. I get sick and tired of seeing these kind of things coming in and out of the courthouse. I'm really pissed that this young lady, clearly she has some issues, but this young lady, you could go to the house, drop food off whenever you wanted to. You could sit outside in front of the house, talk to whoever you're in the car with. Keep your children away from family members that could love on those kids, that could provide for those kids. And you could do that for 5 years and nobody does anything about it. I'm beyond outraged. I am pissed about that.
Okay, Alan.
Excuse me. I have to say, this week we saw the confirmation of Kash Patel as the head of the FBI. It's something that's going to impact the whole country. Impact here in Detroit, we have a huge FBI office here. I think that man is a danger. It's where we're talking about all the violations and stuff that J. Edgar Hoover got involved in, and illegal wiretapping, putting out false information about civil rights leaders. I think we're in for. I mean, the only thing is, I think the agents are going to end up sabotaging him. They're gonna end up outing him because he's going to do a lot of illegal things. I think the country's really taking a very dangerous turn.
I disagree. I think we got a lot of agents that think the same way that
some, but no,
I think it's a large percentage. But we'll see.
Yeah.
My outrage is that while Trump saying he's through with DEI, they just the education department has got rid of all the scholarships for rural and other students who live in a poverty situation from all the Black universities. And then he had a Black History event where he had Tiger Woods and Tim Scott. He was honoring them for Black History Month. And yet when he went to speak to the people that gathered there, he talked about golf. He didn't even talk about.
That's crazy.
He didn't even talk about Black history. Tim Scott and Tiger Wood. Tiger Wood. When they asked Tiger Wood what was he, he was everything but an Asian and a Black person. He made up a race, and for him to be the face, he's irrelevant. Go ahead, Allan.
I'm going to say how dangerous it also is about, attacking, states that may be too woke that want to teach about slavery. I mean, the slavery is a stain on our history. It doesn't mean we're a horrible country, but that was a horrible, horrible thing. It's like in Germany, they teach about the Holocaust. We need to educate people about slavery so we don't go backward in this country. And people are being penalized. They want to penalize states that teach slavery and say it's woke.
We're gonna have to do what Patrick Coleman, who's the owner of Beans and Cornbread, he has a little lunchbox that he sells every day, chicken and whatever. And when you open the lunchbox, you see someone he's honoring for Black history, and that's all year round. We just gonna have to teach our own history. Allan, when I first went to school, when I was in junior high, and school let out, I saw the Hebrew buses pull up, and you and the rest of the Jewish students got on it. It was like, damn, didn't they just get out of school? And one of the students said, yeah, but we going to learn about our history and all the other little stuff. And that's what we're going to have to do. And we can't wait for somebody else that don't like what they read and want to just dismiss it. We're going to have to step up to the plate and do it ourselves quickly before we take a break. Go ahead, Vanessa.
I just want to say that Queen Bee, thank you so much. She said her outrage is also the failures of CAM, Wayne Metro, and Detroit continuum of care with regard to the homeless system. And again, nobody is addressing it.
Okay,
that is her outrage. But I want to make a point that you made, Adolph, is that you said that we have to teach our own history. That has always gone on in our community. So, if you depended on the school system to do it, a week,
what school system?
A month.
Do Detroit has a school system?
People are dependent on the school system to do it. It's not happening. So what you're suggesting is that was something that I believe has always taken place. It's taking place in our home.
Okay, we'll take a break and come back and continue the conversation. This is Detroit in black and white, live from McShane's.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Well, welcome back to Detroit in black and white. This weekend, this Saturday, the Republicans and the Democrats are meeting in Detroit to elect new leadership. Allan, you cover political stuff. What do the Democrats need in a leader to get the party back on track?
I think for one, it needs somebody who's going to be higher profile and have an understanding about what it means to be out there, what it means to promote the party, what it means to organize the party. I feel like it's sort of been rudderless. We just haven't had, not that we've had bad leadership in the Democratic Party, but I think the Democratic Party needs a strong figure who's going to, and I don't know, I'm not even sure who the candidates are. I know in the Republican,
Curtis Hertel and Al Williams.
And Curtis Hertel is sort of very old school. He's an old time operator, and in the party.
No, he's not. He just got the name of his daddy.
Right.
But he ain't his daddy. Yeah.
Right. Well, he lost the congressional race.
What is that called? He's one of those kids that inherit the name,
right?
And he couldn't win a race on his own.
Well, he lost the congressional race there in the Lansing area.
He got his ass kicked.
Yeah, he got his ass kicked, and he just didn't have. I mean, they ran such good negative ads against him. In the Republican side, we have Sean Maddox, who's being
crazy
backed by Trump. She's like. I know some Republicans, mainstream Republicans, who don't want anything to do with her. They win because she's got the backing of Trump. So, I mean, the Democrats can hope that she returns to that chair position. But, I mean, both parties need to get their shit together.
Vanessa, what do Democrats need to come back to life here in the state of Michigan?
Listen, I think it goes back and forth. A few years back, the Republican Party was in shambles. Regroup, have a real agenda, and do what they have to do. But you know what? I think that it is incumbent upon us, those that vote, that participate in the process, to make demands of both parties, not just one party. See, we tend to be wedded to, I'm talking about as a Black female here in the city of Detroit, we tend to be wedded to one party, and that is not getting us anywhere. So I think as far as the Democratic Party is concerned, they have to have a real list of demands, and people have to hold them accountable. If you don't do that, you're going to continue to see what we see. And by the way, did you guys know that the governor is going to be able to make another appointment next month? There was a Supreme Court justice, the chief Supreme Court justice, Michigan Supreme Court justice, who's stepping down next. I think it's
don't. I caution African Americans: don't waste your time applying for that seat.
I thought the same thing.
It's already a quota. It's already a quota. They already got somebody somewhere that's going to pop up. Jim, what do the two parties need to concentrate on in Detroit?
First, thanks to Power Orga for the comment, and Chevy Van Dyke. The biggest issue here is we need independent thinkers in all of those roles.
Absolutely.
And the problem that we have currently is they're just following the lead. The playbook, and if you don't follow the playbook, you have no opportunity to lead. And we can't have that in this country. We have to have people that disagree. We have to have people that have different ideas. If we're all going to believe in the same thing, why even have a party? Just call it the Trump party and just call it whatever party, the
The
Democratic
Know
Party.
Nothing Party. They need to name the Democrats the Know Nothing Party. I'll come to you, Allan, but again, Eric.
I just want to answer a quick question. Somebody asked why Elizabeth Clement is stepping down.
Right, I was going to answer that question too. Go ahead.
47, and she's becoming the next president of the National Center for State Courts.
Right.
This spring, and it's a
money.
Yes. Cushy job, good money. And she's only 47 years old, so it's not really. I mean, they say she's retiring from the court, but not really retiring.
And Allan, make sure that you point out the fact that the Republican Party is not very happy with her because of some of her rulings that she's sided with those people that were appointed.
Well, the Democrats
so they weren't very happy with her at all.
She was a moderate.
Yeah. Eric, what do the parties need to do?
I'm gonna piggyback on what Jim said. They need independent thinkers. At the end of the day, my fraternity motto is training for leadership, and I call bullshit on that and say they're training for fellowship, and that's what both of these parties do. They train for fellowship, and all they do is have whomever is the leader, be it the state level, the local level, the black caucuses throughout the country. All they do is parrot exactly what is being played in the playbook. And it's training for fellowship, and that's all people do. People get upset, particularly in our community. The minute a black person has a contrary opinion from the mainstream black opinion, they want to fucking castigate them to Siberia. That's bullshit. At the end of the day, if you cannot accept an independent thinker, then so be it. Matter of fact, a guy yesterday that's running for mayor, he reached out to me through Facebook. He said he liked what I had to say a lot. He followed me on Facebook, my opinion. He just was asking for some advice on what he thinks he needs to do. I said, part of the problem, you like name recognition. But in addition to that, you just got to go out and meet the people where they are at. Go to every nook and cranny in the city of Detroit. And I shared with him the voter turnout the last 28 years. I said, that's part of the problem. You got to find out from the people why they're not voting in local elections. Do that, and you might gain some traction from the name recognition of those that are in the race already.
Well, he can look back in 1973 when they had a spirited race between John Nichols, Mel Ravitz, Coleman Young, and there was a professor at Wayne State. I think he's still there, named John Moak. He had to weigh 250 to whatever. They called him Walking John.
Right.
He walked all over the city. He lost all this weight, and he knocked Mel Ravitz out because he got a lot of votes. He knocked on doors. That's all he did. I don't know how much money he spent, but he proved that if somebody really wanted to touch the community, you got to do something different. And like that candidate, they can't go to these candidate forums when you got 30 people, 10 people for each candidate. That's a waste of time. They need a real playbook, and a lot of these folks don't have a real playbook. They just think they can get their name put on the ballot and somebody gonna vote for them. Or at a month left in the campaign, they get some yard signs and stuff and buy some billboards, and it's a waste.
Let me ask you guys as a panel: how many of you guys get phone calls from people who respect you and say, "Who should I vote for when it's time for an election?"
I've been getting calls already.
Yeah.
You, Allan?
They don't even live in Detroit.
I get a few here and there. I mean, more judicial races where people have no clue.
You, Jim?
Occasionally, not that often. Occasionally.
See, I like Eric and Adolph. I get a lot of phone calls. I do, not just judicial. We're talking about representatives. We're talking about. Like I said last night on the show, I had a couple of phone calls from people that are in the community that made it clear, and they were trying to pin me down. I felt like they were trying to pin me down as to who I'm going to support for mayor. But I get those phone calls all the time, and that goes to lack of education. They're looking for us to educate them as to how they should vote.
Well, somebody said, "Watch your back, Eric."
Yeah, I saw that.
We need to get back to the basic student council from elementary instead of looking at classmates like they're crazy. And you know what? They used to have kid votes. They had all kind of programs where they had student government, where prepared kids to go to the polls. When I was coming up, I used to go with my parents.
Same here.
Go sit, wait till they vote, and I always ask my mother who you voted for, and she said, "None of your business. You vote." And we don't do that anymore because they don't want kids to participate in the elections. It's hard to even find young folks to pay them to pass out flyers and stuff. That's what I did when I was 14, 15.
Right.
Yeah, we did. I did the same thing.
But we need to get people in the classroom. I mean, Dave's making some great points, but we need to get people in the classroom before we can get them on the student council and a safety patrol and all these things that teach kids how to be.
Safety patrol. I don't even think that exists anymore. There's no schools for them to walk to. I'm not trying to be funny, but safety patrol.
But those are all efforts to teach people how to be grown-ups, right? Student council.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, you can't. Well, there's no schools you can walk across the street and where you had the kids protecting other kids and stuff. You got rapists and muggers and everything else lurking in the woods in Detroit. It's just a dangerous situation until we get the school system together, until we get these neighborhoods back to where it's a real neighborhood. If you're going to invest, one thing I didn't see when Reverend Kinlock, I like when he said, well, we're going to bring 10 grocery stores and all this other stuff in the neighborhood, but never mentioned where the school's at. That it should be part of any revitalization. Don't you agree, Allan?
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, you got to force people like Dan Gilbert and Tom Gorse and Gary Targo. If we're going to give you millions of fucking dollars, Chris Ellis, you gotta come up with an educational plan.
Well, look, dude, all the development downtown, there never seems to be a component of education. There should be a great school downtown for, like, if families actually want to live downtown, their kids can go to school.
There should be 3 or 4 schools downtown.
Yeah.
There's no question. They closed schools because it didn't make sense. They closed Northern High School. They built a new Northern High School. They closed Frederick Douglass on the east side and sent them over to the Old Murray Wright, which is
closed that down.
Yes. And then they put all girls into the old Northern High School, and they can't even utilize the space because there's not that many folks. What geniuses created this game plan? But yet we have the superintendent where he gets $400,000 a year. The school board patting himself on the back. It's a waste of fucking time and effort. I don't even want to vote for anybody that's running for school board at this point because it's nothing but a rubber stamp for a guy that stole money for the last how many years because he ain't earned it because they keep losing students day by day.
So is it? Wait a minute. Is it his fault that he's getting paid that amount? Wait a minute. Because you elect the school board. The school board, you are supposed to have confidence that the school board, these people that you elect, that they're going to do their job, which is to hold his feet to the fire. If they're not doing it, why do they continue to have their position? So
Because
I'm not
because
just,
they get elected.
to me, you don't just look at him, you look at those people that do not hold him accountable. That is a problem.
Well, it's a problem. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back and continue this conversation.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Yeah, you know what? The superintendent has a bully public that can advocate for changes. And now, if I'm sitting here, I'm sitting in his seat, and I see all this development, damn, I'm a run, not walk, to those politicians that control the city, the mayor, et cetera, and Lansing, and say, you know what? If y'all gonna give millions of dollars to these developers, they got to be a partnership with the school system. They need to build not only just football fields or whatever. We need a wrestling program. We need a soccer program. 30 years ago, we had a guy go to the Detroit Public Schools over 30 years ago. You know him, Allan. Name is Robert Brown. We have had him on the show.
Mm-hmm.
They laughed at him, talking about that black kids. That's damn. If you look at soccer around the world, a whole lot of black folks play soccer. Soccer is the number one sport in the world. You know, contrary to what people think with the NFL and the NBA, but this is what we get because they close all the baseball fields. There's swimming pools in some of these schools haven't been used in decades. Unreal. Why would I want to send my kid to a half-ass school district that only 3 schools you got that you got to take a test to get to get in, and then there ain't no neighborhood schools? Vanessa.
You know what, Adolph? I think you're absolutely correct. I agree with you. You can't have a mayor in the city of Detroit. You can't have a strong Detroit if you don't have a strong school system. And somehow they should not coexist as if they're on separate islands, because that is what has occurred over the years. They do what they do over here. The city does what they want to do over here. No, you're going to have to come together, and that should be a demand that you guys come together, work together, because the only way you're going to have a successful city, the only way you're going to have a first-class city is by having a good education system. You cannot have these kids graduating, well, some of them don't even graduate, and you have these jobs that's downtown or within the city of Detroit, and they're not even employable. That's insane. You're not even employable.
Well, I participated in a campaign downriver where the Democratic candidate said that they was having issues with one of the school districts downriver, which is probably one of the richest school districts in Michigan. And they say I had to spend my own money. And I'm like, they don't have a problem. Now, if they was talking about River Rouge or E-Course or some of these other places that's been shortchanged, then I can understand. But we got Highland Park don't have a school district, but yet they got a school board. They got one school left.
Right.
One school left. Flint basically is dead. Muskegon Heights is dead. Benton Harbor is on life support. I'm just looking at these places, and then we complain, oh, the test scores are really bad, except I was up in the Kalamazoo area as a reporter back in the early 80s, and I saw how neighboring school districts just took all the good students from Benton Harbor. Guess what they left there? They took the athletes and they took the smart ones. They left the special ed and the ones that couldn't go anywhere. And this is what we got.
But here's the problem with education. It's not a new issue. It's been going on for decades now. You have the community silent. You have the city elected official, because I will not call them leaders, silent. You have the parents silent. You have the churches silent. You have the businesses silent. So what the fuck you expect when it comes to not being able to have employable kids? For the last 2 years, the Detroit economic growth stated in a report that 70% of graduating students from the city of Detroit are not college ready. 70%.
Well, you can throw.
People are still all fine going to the fucking Lions games, flying all over the damn country to go see the Lions, but the damn kids can't even spell Lions. That's the problem.
Well, you see some of these school districts outside of Detroit. It's the same way. You got Southfield, Oak Park, and you can name Ferndale. Some of these school districts is just.
But the three cities you just named, Adolph, you have seen an increase in Black population and Black kids in all three of those school districts. So that tells me they don't give a damn about educating Black kids.
But
I listen. When I have a different opinion, I say I have a different opinion. But I agree with Eric. He's absolutely correct. Adolph, those school districts that you named, listen, my kids were in one of those school districts. They were in the Southfield School District when I lived in Southfield. And you had an influx of students coming from the city, moving from the city into the suburbs. Listen, the test scores are abysmal. But we're talking about the city of Detroit, and we're talking about a mayor's race where education should be the most important thing. Because guess what? As I indicated earlier, you're not going to be a first-class city if you don't have education. People can move into the city. You can have young folks moving into the city. I think I've talked about this before. My son lived in the city. There was no way he was going to send his kids, my grandchildren, to DPSCD.
Where he's going to send them to?
He doesn't even live in the city anymore. He was talking about sending them to a private school. So the bottom line is
that shouldn't have to happen.
Exactly.
That should not have to happen.
It should not have to happen.
But it happens. Why would I move in, pay taxes for schools,
Exactly.
and then I gotta have whatever? But you know what? That's another a day that we need to spend talking about the educational system, because a western part of Michigan, which is predominantly white over that way, they got the same damn problem with the test scores and stuff. So it's not just a Detroit problem. We the biggest problem because we the largest city.
So my question,
we have lost 3/4 of our student population. They're all over the place.
So my bigger question is this, and I'm asking the panel in general as well as the call. Is the answer getting rid of the Department of Education, as the President of the United States wants to do?
It ain't good. It ain't doing Detroit. Is that the answer? No good. It ain't doing no good.
In the original premise for the Department of Education in 1979, when Carter established it, was about equity in rural schools, urban schools, and schools in the Appalachians. And it is possible for education to be successful. Mississippi went from 49th in the country to 16th. Alabama and Louisiana are also in the top 20. Abysmal school districts and states previously, but they made a concerted effort to do better. They've been saying the same thing in Detroit for 30 years. We're gonna do better. We're gonna do better. Somebody asked a question on one of the contributors that are watching. They asked a question: how has things been since BD been the superintendent? When you have a superintendent bragging about a 1.9% increase in test scores, sometimes a 0.8% increase in test scores, and people giving him a rah-rah pat on the back, that's bullshit. At the end of the day, he should have been gone.
He's one of the greatest superintendents in the history of America. And
right, that's the narrative. 8 years have been here. 8 years have been here in Detroit as a superintendent. Nothing has improved, but they keep giving him raises. They blame COVID for the lack of success. But then when the My Step scores came out on August 28th, he gets a pat on the back for bragging about a 1.9% increase in scores that went up from 7.1% to 10 point something. I'm like, come on, people. Y'all, the citizens are a problem. The citizens, the parents, the business community, because they're going to get their tax breaks. And even going back to the Democratic and Republican Party, I will continue to say, the people love these politicians more than they love themselves. It's an abusive relationship. And they keep saying they'll do better. They'll do better. We still get beat over the head.
We're going to have to end it there, Eric. And we're going to have a whole show. Joy say, this is a great panel and show. I'm a little surprised there are no more. There are a lot more viewers. Make sure we hit the likes. She's saying what you said. Yeah, hit the likes. We got a lot of folks.
Yeah. I think what happens is some people are on certain platforms where there aren't a lot of viewers, but collectively, I mean, we currently have 75 live viewers, and then we have a lot more after that who watch the recording. So I think some people may be on Facebook or YouTube where there's only a few people there.
We get a lot. But you know,
can we hold over for a few minutes? Because I'd like to address a few of our comments. If we could do that, is that all right? Or we have
That's
to go?
Fine. Go ahead.
Yep.
I wanted to Burdell. First of all, Kenneth Reed. I thought we thought we lost Kenneth. I know he's been on the Wood Dogs podcast. I thought maybe we lost him. I'm glad he's back. Burdell, Sherman, and Terry kind of are circling the answer, right? There's more to education than just the school district.
Right.
I think it was Terry talked about going to the polls when he was a kid. His parents were engaging him, right? And Sherman and Burdell, they were talking about solutions, right? We need solutions, and there's people out there that have solutions, and some of them are watching this program, and I'd like to just acknowledge them.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Allan, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts are, you know what? It's going to sound very shallow, but I watched not only the MSU U of M game last night, which was a great game, particularly if you're an MSU fan, but the Detroit Pistons won again by a lot. And it's kind of fun to see the Pistons finally come back after.
Well, San Antonio didn't have their best players. Fuck the Pistons.
Yeah, San Antonio's not that. San Antonio has one of their worst teams in many years. Still,
Detroit Pistons.
Still, the Pistons used to lose to even the worst teams.
They need to move back to Fort Wayne. Vanessa.
Listen, you know I'm always plugging. We want you to hit that like button. Rhonda Williams, thank you so much for joining Detroit Black and White. Sherman Moore, Kenneth Reed, thank you for coming back. Dave, thank you for being here. Bridget Huff, Dwayla Boyce. Shout out to everybody that is watching. Tell everybody about Detroit and Black and White. Hit that like button. And happy Black History Month. We did not get a chance to do our Black History person, but hopefully on Wednesday we will be able to do so. Have a wonderful rest of the Saturday, and we will see you again on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. in the evening.
Jim, your final thoughts.
I'm good. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. Thank you for everybody that's participating. We're all a team here, and some great ideas out there today. Thank everybody.
Eric.
You know, I just plugged the event on March 15th titled, Let's Talk About It, Education and Solutions to Fix a Very Fixable Problem. Wayne County Community College, Northwest Campus, March 15th. 10 o'clock to 12:30 p.m. in Wayne County Community College, Northwest Campus at Outer Drive and Southfield Freeway. There'll be a panel discussion. One panel will be focused on all Black men on the panel, talking about education, because the biggest demographic group that's impacted negatively by education are Black boys and Black men.
Okay.
And that was the point that I think it was Sherman made. was looking in South Carolina, places like Clemson, South Carolina, they have classes for adults. In some cases in Detroit, we could be educating the parents and the children, right?
No, they're paying parents in Detroit to get their GED. They're not going.
My final thought is somebody asked me what teams do I like, and stop hating on the Pistons. Fuck the Pistons, fuck the Lions, fuck the Red Wings. Detroit, it's a champion of losers. Tigers, I used to like baseball. That's the worst sport in the world. I wouldn't can't sit through that shit. Red Wings, when they was making the playoffs for 30 years in a row, people wasn't satisfied. Now the fuckers can't make the playoffs, and they still not satisfied. When the Pistons was going to the Eastern Finals every year, that's all they do is go to the Eastern Finals. Now they can't even get in the fucking playoffs. So these folks are fair weather complainers. And Allan Lengel and Jim, they love I know y'all love y'all sports. I don't have a problem, but don't use an important forum to say anything about them.
Dave wants to know if you're playing golf, Adolph. So
Listen,
I think
right.
Tiger Woods.
Sports is a great distraction
politics.
in life.
Listen, they want to know what time on March the 15th, Eric, the event March the 15th. What time?
10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m.
Okay, and location again?
Wayne County Community College, Northwest Campus, and also that same day, Delta Sigma Theta will be having their Black College Fair in another building. That's from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one day about the Black Greeks or whatever they call themselves. We'll be back.
We are members of a Greek letter organization. We don't
listen. I brought a real Greek to a Greek party
today. We're not Black Greeks. We're members of a Black Greek letter organization.
Ain't no black.
Actually, we're nothing more than a volunteer social organization.
Bye. Ain't no Black Greeks. Get rid of the organization.
Bye, Adolph. Bye.
You bye.
Goodbye.
You bye. So this is Adolph Mongo. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Allan. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Eric. And thanks all the people that want us to get a phone line because they want to talk. We're gonna have to look at that. I think we have
looked at that.
Oh, before. I forgot about Teresa, the hidden gem. Thank you, Teresa.
We've talked about we've explored the phone thing. It's a very challenging thing.
Yeah, but people has it. Listen, Bernie Sanders, we don't want to hear that. Okay, you sound like a socialist.
Well, all right. Good luck with that.
And God bless.
Yeah.